two titans of their region come together in North America to face off. G2 and FURIA. Let's get over to the Verizon Skybox with, you know who it is, Stacks and Dazzler. Take it away, boys.
Well, well, well. We're back to close out another day, Daz. I gotta put you on the hot seat. Who you got here?
Well, listen, there's only one team I think can win, and that's gonna be any one of these teams, because honestly, they're all both really good. Looking at this one, it's really hard to make the distinction between G2 and FURIA. We've seen FURIA really show up and have a lot of highlight moments, but we've also seen them struggling in A. I think G2 are the favorites coming into this matchup, but we'll see how these teams play when they're on the field.
FURIA has done just enough to get to this point. They're into the top 8 bracket. Can they do enough to survive here? Oh, what a save! But Kaio's there to clean it up after Card nearly scored a nearly impossible angle.
I mean, look at this for Card. Just getting that double so solid, forces that tough save from Chicago. And the way Kaio follows up is the way FURIA plays. Full steam ahead as they get the first goal.
No surprise at all to see FURIA press the issue. This is what they do. Sometimes it gets them into a little bit of trouble. They're still adapting to that North American style, but it's good enough for a 1-0 lead. Chicago looking for JNAPS. Couldn't get the pass away cleanly, so Atomic has to intercept at midfield, but Jan's got that challenge, and that leaves JNAPS all alone, and Chicago comes back to help him out, so G2 avoids any disaster there. But now they've got to reset defensively as Card was threatening. And this is kind of in disarray. Atomic will get credit after the entire FURIA defense was bullied around by Chicago.
Yeah, you can see, again, a little bit of hesitation. And again, this jump here, Kyle just trying to get that read off the back wall, ends up own goaling there. A little bit of panic set in because G2, once they start swarming on that offensive push, sometimes they can cause some disruptions, force a couple errors.
What is it? Kaio has put both goals in so far in this particular game. One on either net. Here goes Jan. Flip reset. Trying to get in front of JNAPS as well. But Naps there for the save. Coming oh so close for the second time. Trying to lift that World Championship trophy in Fort Worth. Fell short, of course, to Team BDS. Here's Jan to the crossbar and through JNAPS. 2-1 FURIA.
The mechanical mastermind at Yan, when he's in the air like that, you gotta put a hand up a little faster, Atomic. Able to get the flip reset over him into the dunk, crossbar down and in. That player, you gotta keep your eyes on this entire series long. If he gets free space in the air, it could spell immediate danger for G2.
Both of these teams building up so much momentum over the course of the previous season and now all the way back to square one. Several months away from trying to climb that mountain again as Kaio will bounce one to the corner. Chicago's right there, not the touch he was looking for at all. And, well, it actually kind of worked out because Kaio and Card couldn't get on the same page to decide who was going to send this ball in.
You can tell when you
don't expect G2 to make a mistake like that.
Exactly, but also you can see that hesitation too from FURIA because, again, that forced a backflip from Card and Kaio, like you said. A lot of these teams have expectations of success. Imagine you see Yan going up for a flip reset, you don't know if he has the flip. JNAPS has one there, and you see him trying to put that pressure on. So these teams kind of rely on that consistency. Anytime a team is playing or an accidental whiff comes out, it throws off the whole flow. But meanwhile, G2, they're trying to get back into this game. We're halfway through game number 1, and Chicago able to put that one in to tie us all back up.
Reed in the right place at the right time, hanging around on the back wall. Kaio saw him there and tried to get there, but just not fast enough. Chicago barely out of his reach. And right at the halfway mark, G2 and FURIA have nothing separating them. Jan with a full tank of boost, he'll defer to Card. That means he's got to get back and play this ball, maybe unexpectedly. Didn't have much of a plan with that. Good touch there by Card to leave it for Jan, and JNAPS there for the save. That could have been disastrous for G2 defensively, but JNAPS, wily veteran, coming through. Now Chicago, big clear needed, right down the middle. Kaio's got this. We'll see if G2 can get some sustained pressure as Card has the save across. Nobody on the weak side for Chicago's ball. And JNaps doesn't have anybody to pass to either, so he'll just try to play it to space and delay. And has done so successfully. A little floater almost found its way through.
Very good on the defensive stops is FURIA. They were low on boost when that drive began. Yan here, he pulls out 2. So now JNap's going to be needed again. You see Carr just hunting him, looking for a demo or on a play. And Kyle was able to win that challenge, but not in a quick enough time. G2's able to get boosted up. Keep an eye on those boost totals as things move forward. JNaps with a chance. Bar down Atomic. No! Unable to finish is G2. It looked like they could have took the lead there.
Shades of Optic earlier. Just hit everything except the net. JNap's coming through. You want something done right, you got to do it yourself. The veteran sticks it top left.
Look at this, Kyle, he's trying to get the high ball so Carr can follow it up, but not the touch he wanted. You can see JNaps quick to see that, reads the play perfectly. Great shot from Naps to give G2 the lead.
1:17 to go. And Kaio racing Chicago to the corner. Chicago got the boost, but then ate a demolition. Here goes JNaps with Atomic going underneath, and he could not get the shot at the last moment. It's deflected off the crossbar. But now Chicago with a good win. He's got JNaps to his left. Only Card to beat as Jan races back. He will get there in time, and Card doing well in the corner to keep FURIA in this game here. Still down only a goal. 45 seconds left with the demolition on Kaio. And now Card needing some help from Yan. He'll go forward. Jan's come up completely empty, and this has turned into a hot mess. Atomic sending one off to the corner, and G2 successfully burned about 10, maybe 15 seconds off the clock, barely even touching the ball.
G2 looking to hold on to possession to end this game. Final 20 seconds in regulation. And again, you're gonna look back at what happened towards the end of that, where Yan just doesn't get a touch on the ball. You knew he had the boost, but he just didn't even follow up to make the play. Can he make one now as he tries to lead this ball downfield? Kyle gets beat out. They're both in the orange corner. Meanwhile, G2 taking their time, running out the clock. Chicago carrying it all the way downfield, but will it hit the ground? It will. Game 1 goes to G2.
That was a great finishing sequence from Chicago as well. Faking the touch initially deep in his own corner. That forced Card from challenging to turn all the way around at midfield, expecting the big, powerful clear, maybe even a pinch. And as a result, Chicago bought himself the entire field to work with, brings that down to ground. G2 just outfoxes FURIA in game 1, but it's game 1 of a possible 7 here. But that man feeling very confident in his play so far.
Yeah, you're gonna definitely look at the cameras here from just kind of seeing those initial reactions. But I think I really enjoyed looking at this matchup head to head because both teams can love playing that aggressive style of play. You see G2 swarming, Atomic, not afraid to go for demos, not afraid to mix it up, leaving JNaps a lot of open space. That's kind of the same thing for FURIA. We saw, again, their initial goal, that full charge forward. A lot of belief in both these teams on the offensive pitch. But as game 2 comes through, it's going to be the adjustments that are going to be the big difference maker here as these two Titans face off.
Onward now to Aquadome, game 2. And FURIA looks to level the series. Chicago and G2, at least on the aggression so far. It's JNaps. All the time in the world. Jan waiting, and he waited just enough to be able to make the save, and FURIA barely keep G2 off the board in the first 30 seconds.
Good start there, though, from Naps, getting that carry. Almost was able to get the dunk. Meanwhile, Yan, he was looking for the double there. Kyle pick it up. Great read on the clear, and FURIA strikes first.
It's Kaio with his second goal of the series. He's got almost all of them for FURIA. 16 in the tournament. Closing in on Card's lead. Of course, he almost scored his 20th with that great effort early on in game 1. There's Atomic. Looking across for JNaps, Card in the way. So Chicago's got to take over. Got the shot off, but it's set high and out by Kaio. Follow up here from JNaps. Just doesn't feel like FURIA gets any time to rest at all as G2 holds the majority of possession in this series. Atomic now launch another towards the FURIA cage. And Kaio up to the ceiling. Just doesn't have much to work with there. There's nobody to pass to. Oh, G2 in his face constantly.
This is good, though. You want to keep FURIA pressured. That's when you have the upper hand on them. And most of the FURIA's matchups where, you know, they've seen them struggle or drop games is because the opponent keeps the ball over on their own end for the most part. They have less chance to break out. They have less space to move up the field. This is a team that thrives with the ability to plan out how they want their offense to work. And we've seen it time and time again. But here at G2, they're able to match that speed, and they're also able to make FURIA just as uncomfortable as FURIA has made a lot of top teams in the world.
FURIA is the type of team we like to call survivors as they make a save there. Kaio and Yan coming down to the same spot to deflect that shot away. And now Kaio all by himself. Card trying to trail in behind, but JNaps takes that away and dumps that deeper into the FURIA corner. Yan comes up empty for a second touch, and Chicago almost got a shot away, but Card's there to stop him. Just seems like FURIA just a tick behind a little bit here in G2's pace.
They're a tick behind, Stacks, but they're also a goal in the lead, and they're looking at another one. You see Yan bringing it all the way downfield. It's kind of, you know, been a trend that we've seen out of FURIA, at least in the first couple of games here. But for G2, even though they've had the pressure, they haven't been able to finish. FURIA's defense can't hold this. I say that, but Yan gives it away, and JNaps puts it into the top left corner.
Well, JNaps probably wishing every clear end up right in his lap like that one. Right place, perfectly spotted. Right at the halfway mark, we're tied, just like in game one. It was G2 that broke the deadlock in that opening game. And FURIA flipped the script. Well, JNaps forces Kaio away and got around Card as well. It took a full team effort to get that ball away from JNaps. And now here goes Atomic. He's lost possession. And Yan, little baby pinch downfield that Chicago's able to corral, and JNaps only as far as Kaio. Just seems like we're waiting for maybe the floodgates to open here. Oh, what a touch!
Oh my goodness.
And Yan getting some help from the inside of the post, delivering that ball right to him to clear away, but G2 gonna be wondering how they're not in the lead right now.
I mean, that was an incredible angle from Atomic. Almost able to put that one in. And yeah, you're right, G2 would have been in the lead. I mean, even despite this, with all their pressure and all their shots, I mean, they have 9 shots to 3 right now. FURIA has not been able to have too many offensive opportunities. They're trying to make one here, but G2 are prepared for it. It's been the same strategy all over the course of this game. FURIA have that solo play. Someone gets a flip reset, plays to the back wall. G2's been ready for that every single time. They got to do something different.
Yan has been driving almost at a figure 8 at his own back line, waiting for his opportunity to come up, and he finally does, and the ball ends up right back at his net. Card with his third save. And now JNaps in front. Card deflects away right at Chicago, and Yan has to make a save. He's got a savior medal as well. Now finally Yan can break out, and Atomic is right there to corral this effort, and JNaps waiting over on the side for the pass to come to him. Still a tie game here inside 50 seconds now, as Chicago looking to set up Atomic, and he peeled off, and now he's gonna race back with a full tank of boost at least, and Yan's got the pinch, but nobody there diving in.
This one ticking down. FURIA looking for a way to break out. Yan on the solo once again, gets it past JNaps. Has to try to beat Atomic here on this clear. Gets a bump on Atomic. Kaio comes up, but he's not fast enough. Card gets a misread on that, has to retreat, and G2 can hold on to pressure here until the time ticks down. They're in the perfect position to.
Card made sure to win that race to the boost earlier, and that helps them to make this clearance here. Final shot of regulation coming here as Kaio couldn't get that ball centered. Yan will have a look. This headed downward, it will touch down. We get our first overtime of our last match of the day. Someone goes through into the semifinals at the end of all of this. Will it be FURIA surviving and advancing again, or does G2 hold serve? Yan racing downfield, and Atomic got there first.
That was so close. I'm not gonna lie, Stacks. G2 had so much pressure that game, I thought they were in the lead. Next thing I know, we're in overtime. I could have sworn another one of those would have went in for G2, but that's what I'm saying. They've had all this opportunity to do it, and Chicago will make sure it's done with that goal.
As you got ahead of the script just a little bit, it's G2 up 2. Another 1-goal victory. And we'll see if FURIA takes a timeout at 2 wins or if they continue to wait.
Looking at this one, that was also the first overtime, by the way, G2 has played in this event so far.
That doesn't surprise me. They
seem
seem like they're on another level, almost like they're really on the redemption tour.
I can see it was being so close to winning the world championship and then having the performance that they had. This G2 roster seems to have refined themselves, and it does look like they're back this season with a vengeance for sure.
They are back. They are well and truly determined, but this is still the very first event of the season. It is a long, long road. It's a long road just to get to Rotterdam. Forget the other 2 majors and, of course, the World Championship at the end of it all. But off to a good start so far here in the quarterfinals. G2 up 2-0. No timeout from FURIA here after 2. So they'll keep that in their pocket, perhaps for game 3 if things don't go their way. Give themselves a little more time as we go to the iconic backdrop of DFH Stadium for our 3rd game. Could be eventually match point for G2 unless FURIA can turn it around. We've seen that they've got the pieces, Daz. We've seen that they've been able to score early. They've been able to apply that pressure, but they haven't put the full 5-minute game together. They're going to do it again. No, Chicago deflecting one off the crossbar, keeping FURIA from an early goal again.
And again, FURIA, like you said, FURIA with those early goals, but stats-wise, it doesn't really serve them well. G2 4-1 whenever their opponent scores first. And they're looking maybe to start this game off with a hot streak. I mean, this G2 roster is just so good. When you look at the numbers, when you look at just them on paper, and for FURIA having to break through all of that statistical narrative behind G2, that's a tough task to make.
One of the first times we were really turned on to this FURIA team. You go back to some of the things Johnny Boy was saying about them heading into the fall major last season. As JNaps pops one away, said, these guys are probably more mechanical than G2. Of course, that was a slightly different G2 squad at the time. And everybody kind of started rolling their eyes like, all right, yeah, Johnny Boy hitting on North America again. And then we got to see this FURIA team play, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. There might be something to this. They are a team that certainly thrills with their speed and their efficiency, but they're up against it right now with a very tough and a very different G2 squad from a year ago at this point. Kaio not fast enough to stop JNaps, and Card will just launch one back where JNaps is waiting for it again.
Yan on the ball, straight to Kaio. It's a slow roller, but it's not in.
Hello?
Yan tries to turn. Chicago gets a save on the goal line. You would have thought that would have been the one there for FURIA, but unfortunately it just goes awry.
Popped up for Chicago. He's had a couple brilliant redirects so far. Nothing net worth this time. But all the pressure belongs to G2 now as JNaps launches another one back in. Atomic and Chicago in formation behind. And now Atomic out of the corner, got around one. And Kaio had a drop right down, and Chicago's right there. But just not fast enough. FURIA this time fast enough to stop G2 for now, as that goes back out to the corner. But the buzzards are certainly swirling around here. Gotta get a big clear. Card finally does. And despite the demo on Yan, that's gotta relieve a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah, that is gonna relieve pressure for only for a moment. Is it right? FURIA are just fast enough to stop G2 when it comes to the goal line, but they've been getting beat out at everything else. These midfield challenges have been so important to kind of gain space. Even some of these boost grabs have been important to maintaining, again, control of the ball. JNaps almost slotting it. Atomic, no! Too far wide on that one. And finally, some more space will be given. Maybe FURIA can muster up an attack. I say that, but JNaps is in the air so early. And G2 back on the offensive push again.
It has to be mentally exhausting to play against a team like G2. Here's Card, double tap, bang, bang!
King Card comes up big. Yan pops it up, flip reset into the demo, and through the explosion, Card comes out of nowhere and puts it in the top left.
Number 20 of the event. Finally for Card, he gets his first goal of this series. And Yan was looking for one of his own, but he gets a demolition instead. Atomic coming up to stop him from even launching. And now Card lining up another. Chicago's got this save just over the crossbar. Yan can't get around Chicago, but maybe Kaio can around Atomic. It bounces right down to JNAPS and the little wave dash to try and get that around Card.
Big time goal. You can see the momentum here shifting in the way of FURIA, but you cannot count out G2 just yet. A minute 20 to go. We've seen G2 have the ball swarming over in the FURIA, but FURIA looking to turn that around. Great stop on the double tap there from Atomic. That's going to be his 3rd save, but then that's also going to be the 8th save from G2. FURIA have flipped the pressure on its head here in the final minutes of the game.
Atomic. Oh, he had it and he dunks it through as well. Solo effort from Atomic to tie the game.
And that's why you can't count them out until the clock is 0, because then you get this. They tried for the save, but you got to be able to stop that man, Atomic. G2 tying up.
Every youth basketball parent yelling, follow your shot. Atomic does this time. Tie game. JNAPS now around Card, and Atomic will hit JNAPS indirect. With Chicago coming up as well.
No way.
A well-oiled machine almost took the lead just like that.
If Chicago would have scored that, I would have jumped out of my chair, Stacks. The way these two teams have lit up here in the final minutes of the game is phenomenal. See so many close displays of mechanical prowess as Yan takes to the skies again, forcing JNAPS to go up early. He gets the flip reset over him, but Chicago maintains control of the ball. Final 30 seconds. We're tied up in game 3. The series has been close so far, but who's going to have the edge? Right now, it's G2 looking to finish. JNAPS beats 1, but Kaio's back in time. No strong shot chances coming out from G2 as clock ticks down.
Card had kind of a late break on that effort from JNAPS as well. Maybe FURIA a little fortunate to still be in a tie game here. So that bounces, quick read by Yan. With only 3 seconds left, Chicago throw it to the back wall, and now Atomic has to control this, and he'll decide if we go to overtime. Of course we do. So G2's gonna play back-to-back overtimes, their first 2 of the event. They get an early OT winner in game 2. They're on the attack again briefly with Yan setting this right back.
It's such a big game for FURIA. You know that, they win this one, they're going to get the momentum, but also it's just the fact that, again, if they go to match point here against G2, it would take a strong effort for them to try to reverse sweep. Atomic was so close, though, to putting it on match point. If he would have got that bump a second earlier, the shot would go in. He's going to try to finish it himself, but Yan comes through to make the save.
This is a team we know is very capable of playing from 3-0 down in a series, and we're going to see how well they do today as JNAPS rolls one through into an empty net thanks to Chicago taking out Card.
You can see it, the demo comes through. Toodaloo, the net's wide open, and G2 able to put this series on match point. FURIA, they started, or they activated, I should say, a little bit later on into the game. They finally were successful on offense. It looked like they had everything going for them. But G2 kept fighting. Atomic lit up. Chicago getting involved. And, of course, JNAPS is going to put that one in, forcing now a timeout here for FURIA as they are on their last leg, last life here in the Fall Open.
3 very important points on the line here. The difference between a 6-point quarterfinal finish and 9 points just for reaching the semis, and the potential for more as we continue on. So an important timeout for FURIA to take here to try and get on the same page and figure out how they are going to erase a 3-0 deficit against, let's face it, Daz, this is looking like the mighty G2 that we were accustomed to near the end of last season.
Yeah, G2 just look like a team that can't be beat at this point. They've been practicing, they've been refining the already dominant skills that they've had over the course of last season. And the way that they've shown up in this tournament has been nothing short of spectacular. Now it's just about, obviously, for them finishing the job, but we'll see what FURIA have here in this particular timeout. Definitely have to talk things over, because even though FURIA changed up the shot possession, the shot amount in that last game, it still felt like G2 had an edge and had a semblance of control there. And FURIA end up, there's some mistakes that are made, but G2, after Atomic scored that goal to equalize, they played on another level, a completely different pace, completely different speed. And they made short work of that. For FURIA to be able to stop G2, I mean, that's the question all of North America's been trying to answer in terms of their competition. We'll see if they have what it takes.
Yeah, again, the first half of, for the most part, the first half of these games has belonged to FURIA. It's just a matter of closing out those games. G2 has won the second half decisively of every single game in this series. That last game, though, as you mentioned, Daz, end of regulation, felt a lot closer, but it still wasn't enough. Utopia Coliseum now the backdrop for Game 4. Could be our last match of Saturday. We'll find out as they kick it off one more time.
Chicago already off to a good start. Keeping up that possession. G2 always do so well off those initial kickoffs. Being able to grab control of the ball, play things in their favor. Let's see what Carr can do. Oh, he can get that double, but it's not going to go in. Could have been a great chance there for Carr to start things off on a hot foot for FURIA. He's had a pretty good series so far in terms of individual performances, but that one doesn't go in this time.
We're talking about fortune a little bit, and you do have to get lucky to some degree to win an event like this. I think on any other day, G2 might have a different outlook of this series against FURIA. We've seen a few of those kind of free runs through the backboard not result in goals that most of the time do for FURIA. Jan coming through here, and Atomic takes that right away from the corner all the way across into the FURIA end of the field. Card, good first touch. He can continue to control this. We're looking for the flip reset and just could not quite activate it. And Chicago swats this ball well away from Yan and out of the reach of Card as well, so that slows him down and almost made him make a choice between boost and ball. And that little hesitation has led to all of this pressure from G2.
That was an escape pass play that will never go in. But man, if it did, Gibbs would have put that on the top plays for sure. But seeing G2, seeing that pressure come out, seeing the fact that they're able, even with all that speed, to find each other in front of the box of FURIA is fantastic for them. Great start so far, but we're still tied up here. Pace of game has slowed down a bit as FURIA look for a way in. You see Yan with the pass, but it's cut out by JNaps.
Here comes the great one. Kyle trying to roll one by Chicago. At least slowed him down and was able to yoink that boost away from him. And now Card with Yan in front. Yan's got to dive in here instead because Card lost the plot. And Atomic will send this ball away. JNaps waiting in behind him as well as a safety insurance policy. Here goes Card again, though. FURIA resets, trying to regain, get one on the board at the midway point of a game they must win to keep their fall open hopes alive. But Chicago right out to the middle, and well, Atomic was late getting there, and that could have been very dangerous for G2.
It could have been. Kyle was in the backfield too as that play was going on, looking for ways to disrupt. You see him coming in on that play. Now Yan last back. Atomic tried to pre-jump him, but Yan gets a pass. He picks up this mid boost as well. Gonna leave this for Card. Yan playing a little bit further back here, letting Card and Kyle kind of take the push. Again, 2 minutes remain. No one able to stop this stalemate that we've seen so far in Utopia Coliseum.
Yan with a good win. Kaio streaking downfield. Out of the reach of Atomic. And yet again, FURIA scores first.
Look at this. Yan playing it across. No one saw Kaio until it was too late. Just under the ball. Puts all the power behind that one. FURIA set the tone, but they've been doing that, Stacks. Now it's about if they can weather the storm coming. That is G2.
Will it be another lead blown, or will FURIA get one on the board and start the long, arduous road back for a reverse sweep? It's Card playing that one back, and Chicago for Atomic, and the miss by Kaio, saved by Yan. As here goes Card and FURIA trying to extend their lead. Nobody has had a 2-goal lead in this series.
No chance. Yan plays it high off the ceiling, but no one there to get there for FURIA. So JNaps will be able to clear it out. FURIA trying to extend their lead. G2 stuck in net, so to speak, but all they need is one good breakout chance. FURIA trying not to give it to them at all in these final minutes. As Yan, holy, what a redirect from Yan!
Oh, this is brilliant. And when he gets going, he's a difference maker for sure. Just over a minute to go. The biggest lead for anybody in this series. Can they get one back on their side? Important kickoff to make sure they don't concede immediately, and they don't. So Atomic has to race all the way back to his own corner. And G2 has to scramble now in the final minute.
And the remaining, FURIA though, not letting G2 get out of their own half. They're gonna try to smother them until the clock hits 0. JNAP's not a chance, cut out. Kaio has card midfield, can he give it to him? This is gonna be Yan here with a free chance for a shot, plays it high, forcing Atomic up. Card trying to beat JNAP's, but cannot. Chicago able to put it in his face. It's Atomic versus Yan here, 1v1, and it's beat out, going the other way. And G2, they might have to look towards the next game, Stacks, because FURIA are closing the door on this one. Only 15 seconds left, and a 2-goal lead for FURIA.
Hard will throw into the backboard, and Kaio will put the finishing touches on a brilliant act of survival and defiance from FURIA. 1 down and 3 to go here as we'll tick off the final 8 seconds in a moment.
No smiles here for either side, because you know for FURIA, even though this is the most successful game that they've had in this series, it's just the start to a long road if they want to turn this series around. G2 definitely going to look to make some changes, but right now FURIA take this game for there will be no sweep in this matchup.
Teams that take a 3-0 lead in a best-of-7 here in North America, 234-2 in those series. I know because I was part of the 2. So here we are, 1 down for FURIA. And you certainly like what you saw from FURIA as the second half of that game went on, because it's what they lacked for the 3 games leading up to that point. They didn't have the ability to keep pressure on for a full 5 minutes, and that time it felt like, yeah, sure, a little bit of back and forth early on. G2 probably should have had a couple that came a lot closer to the net than they did. FURIA capitalizes, and then as they weather the storm, they put a brilliant performance together in the second half.
I think it's really just the thought behind how FURIA moved the ball around in that last game that made the biggest difference there from them. Like, seeing the fact that Yan could definitely made some plays on the ball individually, but decided to give it up, and almost a big start there for Kaio.
That's been the threat, right? Every single game, FURIA have either scored very early on or threatened to do so, as Card was threatening a redirect there, and Atomic got in his way. JNAP, Chicago, and it's in! Oh, it looked like Kaio might have gotten to it, but Chicago gives G2 the lead this time.
Look at this redirect from Reed. The power behind it, off the post and in. Well done, Chicago. G2 strike first this time.
Here goes Kaio, looking for an immediate answer. Atomic not willing to give it to Card, but Card still won the challenge. Now Yan not going to be able to stay with this play. And that's got to be the key for FURIA too. They've got to get him on the ball a lot more often. He's been away from the ball quite a bit. He's been hovering around the defensive line as he's got to jump in front of JNAP's here. Last line of defense comes through for FURIA, and Card helping as well. But they cannot let G2 get that close and that comfortable on that half of the field.
Yeah, this is all right.
What a win.
Oh, Yan trying to get that follow-up, unable to. Atomic's gonna try to clear this downfield. He gets into the midfield line. G2, one of 2 teams who are undefeated in games when they score first at 7-0. It's gonna be a tough task here for FURIA, knowing that number. Yan's gonna try to equalize, and he does! Vamos for Yan!
My goodness! Catch and release. 1-1. 3:45 to go, and G2's got to contend with that, Yan. Good luck. Goes right to Chicago here from the kickoff. Well, the best case scenario is he goes over Card. Kaio's waiting, and Yan will just pound one away. It just seems like the game goes in slow motion for him when he's in the zone. And Kaio making the save on another great redirect from Chicago.
Chicago being Mickey is a scary sight. Atomic tried to see if he get that flip out. Back pass to JNaps, keeping the pressure, forcing Yan up. Yan with a miss. Kaio will make a goal line save in time, but this gives so much control to G2.
There's some mistakes you cannot afford to make. And FURIA almost got punished for that one. Chicago and JNaps crisscross. Yan got to figure out what's going on here. And he just waits for Chicago's shot that rolled harmlessly towards him. Now Kaio over top of Yan. He's got Kaio to his right now. Hard off the corner. Second touch almost. Here's Card. Free reign. And his double. No. Leave it for Yan. 2-1.
The FURIA forcing full effect. Card forces 2 up. Net wide open. And Yan just has to push it straight down the middle. Crazy counterattack for FURIA. Despite all that pressure G2 had, and despite how uncomfortable they made FURIA look, they recovered, and now they have the lead.
It's JNaps right at Yan, who's waiting in the corner. And another big win over Atomic. Any one challenge could end up in the other team's net. As this goes right to JNaps. Card is there, so is Chicago. And Card with the win out to the corner. Everybody jammed up there for FURIA. They'll disperse. Card's got Yan. Pass over, and Yan does it again. It's a hat trick.
Look at this for FURIA. They had it all planned out. This is why I say they're dangerous with space. Card to Yan, 1-2. It's in your net, G2. Unbelievable stuff here from FURIA. The way they've been able to flip this game around in their favor.
Chicago had the first goal. And from there, a natural hat trick for Yan. Yan's in the way here. At a savior medal. The only thing he hasn't done is pick up assists. He's doing everything right now, trying to drag FURIA back from the dead. This goes out to the corner. More time wasted. Inside 2 minutes now. That gets almost around Chicago. Got the demolition as well. JNaps left to contend with Kaio, who just killed that ball right in front. And JNaps, is he quick enough? He sure is, but the shot's off the crossbar. Chicago will have a look. Does he have something up his sleeve? No, Kaio emphatically clears away. G2 still only down a couple here with 90 seconds left, but they can't afford to let up at all if they're going to close this series out here.
For FURIA, though, this is going to be a long minute 20 as they got a 2-goal lead, but it's against G2. Unless Yan can score that one, he can't. And G2, in these couple minutes, they're going to try to show us what they're made of. FURIA, though, fighting for their lives, trying to run out the clock, trying to extend their lead. They want more games.
Well, 3's been the magic number for FURIA. Got there in game 1, or rather game 4, their first win. Here they are again. That's deflected away, but JNaps right there waiting for the rebound. G2 unrelenting, and you know you're going to get their best shot here in the final 53 seconds.
I mean, this is just so good, though. G2, they pull out 2. You see Kyle last back. He has Atomic bearing down on him. He has to get rid of the ball, tries to put it in the best spot, but it's sent straight to JNaps. And like I said, cannot count G2 out until that ball hits the ground. 49 seconds left here. And they are marching forward to try to equalize this game.
They've got a lot more time on the clock than Shopify Rebellion had with a 2-goal deficit. JNaps shot sent away by Yan. As this is going to be Atomic's ball all the way, boost and ball. A rare occurrence that you can get both comfortably, but that comfort is dissipating quickly. 25 seconds. Kaio just dump one into the corner. This does kick back out. Card slowing down G2 as best he can, as Yan's going to play possession in the air. And that's going to be an impossible task for G2. Just trying to get the ball away from him easily. 10 seconds now. Chicago throwing at the net. See if something good happens. It does not, as Yan's got possession. Atomic's got a turn on this. He got bumped away. No time on the clock. We're headed to Neo Tokyo.
FURIA able to strike first, but also able to weather the storm of G2. And G2 looked scary towards the end of that game. So many close drives from them, but also many highlight performances, especially out of Chicago, who had a couple of really good redirects here. And G2 are trying to stop this before it gets out of hand. We just got word timeout for G2 as they take some time to talk this over.
Yep, timeout orange. After FURIA waited until 03 to take their timeout, facing down quadruple match point. G2's let a couple go by the wayside, and they go, no. Sathu wants to talk about it with the boys. And what a calming influence, too, that Sathu has been for G2. I think a great coach makes all the difference when you're not worried about all the external factors, you know, what maps you're playing on, how the stream looks. You just worry about the game itself. And Sathu has his boys focused, laser focused on the task at hand now, Game 6 on Neo Tokyo, and stopping this momentum from FURIA.
For G2, I mean, one of the things I love about this team is the fact that they're able to, I've heard it from Atomic, they like to talk, they like to discuss things, they like to improve. Like, this is a team that wants to grow together, and you see that in so many different ways. Now, the chance is for them to see if they can convert and finish this series, because we're out of timeouts. FURIA is a team, they're already out of lives. G2 has one left here. And if they're avoiding that Champions Field, they have to become successful here. So it seems like FURIA, though, is still just trying to keep themselves locked in.
Yeah, bottom left. That's a cold-blooded assassin is who that is. As they're just patiently waiting for this final 30 seconds or so of this timeout before we can get back to work.
This was crazy.
This was the shot from Chicago, and he thought, okay, G2, they're going to score first. They're 7-0 at that point. Not anymore. Not undefeated, as FURIA greater than the sum of their parts, and that is a terrifying prospect in and of itself. It's a look that G2 has not had to worry about, but it's also otherworldly Yan now, who is finding his stride. He's got 5 goals to lead all scorers in this series, and if they can't stop him, it's going to be a long final couple of games for G2.
You got it loaded up. Neo Tokyo is the stage. Can FURIA fight back and force a Game 7? Or is G2 gonna move on to the semis here and now?
Well, Atomic going ahead after not keeping possession. And at least he got contact, but nobody else dove in. They realized FURIA had that well defended. This is the guy to stop, though. Yan diving into the corner, so too is Kaio. Now Chicago. He's got options in the middle. Yan cuts out one of them. Needed a second touch. Of course he's got it. Good grief. Now Kaio. Plan is, of course, get the ball to Yan. He's circling around in midfield right now, and JNAPS played it across. Backboard, and still Yan got back. I thought he had him all beat.
Looked like it was close. JNAPS almost able to start things off strong for G2, but FURIA say no. Things start to settle here. Yan and Chicago take each other out. For a moment, it's quiet, but it's about to heat up real quick. You see Kyle forcing the punch. It's not a good touch there from JNAPS, but Chicago's able to pick it up. Yan's looking to steal some boost. The stalemate here is G2. Start to make the charge.
Oh, JNAPS, great win, but Card has it all the way. He was there as a contingency plan. Now Card looking for a pinch maybe, and Chicago making sure that ball does not end up back on the orange half just yet. Yan thought about it, but let Card take over, and that's a great touch from JNAPS out of the back wall, forcing this all the way down to FURIA's half, and an own goal from Kaio. It's his second of the series, and this one could be equally as tragic.
Oh man, you saw it. You saw the reaction from him. Head down. That's unfortunate for the FURIA. 3:30, G2 have the lead.
This is where you find out what you got for teammates, because now somebody's got to pick him up, and Yan, certainly the guy to do so, but JNAP's there with the save. Now Card, double tap, needs one more maybe, but that's deflected out to the corner where Yan will set up Kaio. Instead, Chicago's in the way, and Card will get back. Of course, the other half of this is you wonder if Kaio's confidence will get shot at all, or if he can overcome that mental roadblock as JNAP plays one wide, and Yan waiting right there for it.
Yan trying to get him back to the game. There's a pass to Kaio. Initial touch, lines up for Card! And Card forces it to the top left. Tied up ball game.
Kaio certainly not shying away from it. He had the look. Atomic just there first. But Yan credited with the assist as Card cleans up the mess. 2:54 to go. Still a must-win situation for FURIA.
Oh,
Yan, what was he looking at? The ball just sails right by him, and Atomic gets another.
Initial touch, yeah, got caught.
He was jumping.
Unfortunate, heartbreaking circumstances for both of the goals G2 have scored here. If you're a FURIA fan, if you're a G2 fan, you take those every single day of the week.
If you're a FURIA fan, you've probably got head and hands at this point. I know one who does, as Yan will play one up. I'll try to get the stealing pinch. Got it quickly to Card, but not quick enough. JNAPS now. On the narrow angle, Yan left on the goal line to contend with Atomic, and he couldn't react. Atomic's got a hat trick.
What is this we're witnessing? You see this? You see him in the net. He backs up, and Atomic just gets that bottom left corner for free. G2 are pulling away from this game and pulling away from this series.
Still only 2 goals, which is a morning workout routine for Yan. But Kaio's got to race back as JNAPS has Chicago in front. He was raiding on the doorstep, but the defense of FURIA comes to the task. Now Atomic around Card. Kaio there to challenge JNAPS. Card gonna cycle around here, doesn't matter. Chicago got the win. Now Kaio up to the backboard. Atomic has to contend with Yan, and he navigated that traffic very well. Card for Yan again. Hard shot. High. Kaio off the post and in.
They're starting to climb back after disaster struck early. FURIA are fighting late. Kaio off the post and in. 1-goal game. 1:51 left. Stacks for FURIA. This is the true test for them. When everything happens, when disaster strikes, how do they recover? Chicago, he could have sealed it there, but the shot was off, and it's still a 1-goal game on Neo Tokyo.
Kaio using all his boost to get in the way of JNAPS. It's a great read. Got to the right place. Now JNAPS, his shot wide. Chicago couldn't get around on it. And now Card has to forego that corner boost to hit Yan downfield. And everybody may be pressing a little too much for FURIA. They've got a boatload of time remaining. 1:20, now 1:15. And Card couldn't jump for that. Yan was starting to creep up. He's got to retreat. And he's got that corner boost. But Chicago in his way. So Card now. We dip down towards the final minute. Only JNAPS forward. Now here comes Chicago. That's a big win. Atomic is lurking. This could be dangerous if JNAPS doesn't get that touch. Sure-handed, though, as always. Now Chicago. Oh, he got knocked by Kaio, or at least couldn't get the shot away. He'll try again, and it's pushed high.
So close for G2. JNAPS high. Kaio this time in the air. Chicago's waiting for that backboard read, but Chicago, that's not a good touch. Atomic trying to control it. And FURIA was looking for that as a way in. That's a long clear. Card gonna have to weather the storm. 30 seconds left. And G2 just have to hold on to the lead. Can Atomic finish it? He can! G2 up by 2!
G2 goes nuclear on Neo Tokyo as Atomic has all 4. 3 of his own volition. And now with only 25 seconds remaining, could that be the killing blow? Denying FURIA a reverse sweep on the opening weekend for North America. Kaio got to get this away quick. Now it falls to Card, and he's got it away. Now Yan back across. Kaio just high and wide, and Card's not going to get there. So Kaio's got to cycle around. Only 6 seconds left. Got to have it right here. Yan needs a bullet, doesn't have it. The chamber's empty, and G2 advances to the semifinals.
What a series between these two. G2 coming out on top.